Hi everyone, this is Nazon. Happy Memorial Day weekend. And of course it's a second quarter moon, which means that we're building upon the energy from our new moon. And we're heading straight towards the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And of course the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius could be fun-loving. The sign of Sagittarius is all about equal rights. It's all about the judicial system. It's all about rights for everyone and freedom for everyone. It's about foreign countries. It's about foreign affairs. It's about the government. Let's remember, before I get into talking about the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, that the planet Venus will be aspecting the planet of sudden change and commotion, the planet Uranus. And we all know the planet Venus rules love, romance, matrimonial, relationships, and of course, marriage and commitment. And as it aspects the planet Uranus, maybe you will be feeling like you want to commit, maybe you won't be. Of course, Venus in the sign of Cancer can be very hypersensitive, very touchy, very feely. So you're going to want to be extra careful with everyone's feelings around you. Although the planet Uranus and the planet Jupiter tell us that everything is going to be well come June 22nd, when they trine in the most magnificent trine and bring good fortune to all. But by then, we do have a few ups and downs to go through. Not only is the stage set for romances, illicit affairs, falling in love at first sight while you're attached to somebody else, but also the planet Mars will aspect the planet Neptune, and people could be trying to make a scapegoat out of you, trying to blame you for everything that goes wrong in their lives, or trying to get you to hear something you didn't hear or say something you didn't want to say. We have to be extra careful. It's stormy weather this week as Mars and Mercury conjoin and Mars squares the planet Neptune. But then again, these are perfect, and it is the perfect storm for falling in love. This week, the stage is set for some delicious scandals. If you're a politician, this week you're going to want to be afraid, because as both Mars and Mercury have been playing around with the planet Neptune, as Neptune gets ready to go retrograde, it's scandalous time. It's secrets revealed time. It's gossip time. Mercury and Mars in the sign of Gemini love to gossip. Now, whether or not the gossip is said in fact or fiction has nothing to do with it, but it's salacious gossip time. Don't you be the subject of anyone's gossip. Let's not forget, as this full moon begins to culminate, tensions begin to culminate too. Your emotions start to get pulled by that full moon in the sign of Sagittarius. And by now we have Mercury, Mars in the sign of Gemini. We have the planet Saturn in the sign of Sagittarius. And we have Neptune poised to go retrograde in the sign of Pisces. The mutable signs have it. And when we get a lot of planets in the mutable signs like this, with a culminating full moon, it gets crazy. You're going to be to and froing, forgetting things, going here and there, dealing with he said, she said, they said, we said, and even on a greater level, listening to all of this he said, we said, they said, we said, on the news even. So remember, as we come into the full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, you're going to have all your wits about you, because remember, from the new moon till the full moon is a whole cycle when you were supposed to be determined, steadfast, and focused. Aries, as you get ready for this full moon in the sign of Sagittarius, your solar ninth house of travel, you're going to want to check your plans, check your tickets, and you're going to want to make sure that you haven't forgotten to pack anything. Things are going to get quite hectic for the sign of Aries. And as the full moon culminates in your solar ninth house, it's about education, it's about learning, it's about curiosity, it's about getting knowledge. You know those times when you go into something and you realize you didn't know the rules or the protocol of how to handle yourself, let's say at the DMV. So learn everything you can before you try to tackle any big problems. For the sign of Taurus, these mutable signs get crazy in your houses of money, with Mercury and Mars wreaking havoc in your solar second house of money. Try as you may to stay focused, and believe me, as the new moon started in your solar first house, you have every chance of gaining more money, as long as you can remember, keep your wits about you and not get frantic. as the sun, or as the planet Venus starts to aspect the planet Uranus, you could get forgetful, you could get anxious, you could get hypersensitive. That's not going to benefit your cause at all. For the sign of Gemini, with all of the planets, Mercury and Mars and the Sun now poised in your solar first house, the attention is all on you. You really have to bring it. So getting tongue-tied, getting forgetful, well, is not going to go over well because basically everyone's watching. But by the full moon, and I love a full moon because not only do things get emotional in a negative sort of way where we want to blow up and we want to throw a temper tantrum, they get romantic. So could this full moon lead to a romance for some of you single Geminis, or even for some of you committed Geminis? It sure could. For the sign of Cancer, with these planets in your solar 12th house, you specifically need to stay out of the fray with the gossip. If you hear something from your friends, don't repeat it, because guess what? You are going to be one of the sun signs that is used as a scapegoat. When the gossip goes down and starts flying, and even with little minor things, everyone's going to turn and use you as a scapegoat and blame you for saying something you shouldn't have. Leo, your friends and socializing is a very important aspect to your life. And of course with Mars here, Mars, remember, the malefic planet, brings a lot of action, but also too much action. Like somebody could want to be your friend and maybe you don't want to be their friend. An ex-lover could be calling and maybe you don't want to be talking to that ex-lover. And more importantly, maybe somebody's going to try to be your friend just to see what they could get out of you, since the planet Neptune is in the sexy 8th house. Well, friends and lovers can get mixed and crossed in another sort of way. For the sign of Virgo, of course you're a mutable sign and you're used to being adaptable, rolling with the punches and going with the flow. Things can change and you don't mind. In fact, you kind of enjoy it when things get a little crazy and hectic. And why not? With all of these planets in your solar 12th house, well, they say that you need a lot of chaos to make money. We'll see if it's true. For the sign of Libra, you have the planet, the Sun, Mercury, and Mars in your solar 9th house. And what you might think of as a short little jaunt, others would see as a trip around the world. So you're into traveling, you're into exploring right now, you're into being focused on the unusual. That's what really gets your attention right now. And so maybe you should travel, but be aware with Mercury retrograde in your solar 9th house, things aren't always as they seem. Scorpio, you have Mercury, Mars, and the Sun lighting up your solar 8th house. What's the problem? You rule the 8th house. It's overcoming obstacles. And so you can think your way through just about anything. You can also talk anyone into anything. So it's very important that you know your power. But it's very important also that you don't sign documents, financial documents that is. And of course, as we get into the full moon will culminate in your solar 2nd house of M-O-N-E-Y, money. And since the new moon began in the sign of Taurus, which rules that 2nd house, perhaps by the full moon, you can gain substantially. For the sign of Sagittarius, you have the full moon culminating in your solar 1st house of taking charge. Who doesn't want a full moon on their sun? Because this means that you have the brightest moon in your sun sign. You really do have a lot of power with that moon, albeit that we have all of these planets in your solar 7th house, other people. So there is a little bit of a tug of war between you, somebody else, you, the competition, you, a mate partner or significant other, and someone isn't playing fair. For the sign of Capricorn, with all of these planets in your solar 6th house, better take care of your health. It rules fingers, feet, and toes. We want to be extra careful here to move a little bit slower, even though you might have so much work to do that you're going to need all of your wits about you. The 6th house is about work, it's about employment, it's about employers. And maybe you do need an extra pair of hands. Aquarius, this week you have Mercury and Mars conjoining in your solar 5th house of love and romance. I'm thinking you should take advantage of that, even though Mercury's retrograde. So what? What's wrong with a little flirting? With the Sun here also, it is time to, get yourself in the mode of flirting a little bit. More importantly, the 5th house can also be the house of the ego, where we want to dominate things. So it's your choice, love or not. And of course, that full moon is going to culminate in the sign of Sagittarius, and that's your solar 11th house of ex-lovers, people from the past. So maybe there's an ex-lover that you need to purge from your consciousness. For the sign of Pisces, of course, you're a mutable sign, a mutable water sign, and you don't have a hard time, like all the other mutable signs, of dealing with planets in the mutable sign. The Sun, Mercury, and Mars in the sign of Gemini, no problem for you. In your solar 4th house of beginnings and endings and emotions, it's about family, it's about fun. Your house should be a place of activity and a place of a lot of fun. So invite people over and have a great time. The full moon, though, culminates in your solar 10th house of fame, fortune, and success. If you play your cards right, Pisces, you could end up as the boss's favorite. Hi everyone, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Be sure to visit my website at www.nazon.com. Follow me on Instagram, and of course, join the conversation on my Facebook fan page. Watch, like, and subscribe to my YouTube weekly horoscopes.